How Chiropractic Works, Part 5. Andrew Taylor Steele and Daniel David Palmer. Bone setting was the precursor to osteopathy and chiropractic. Bone setting has been around for thousands of years and was and is passed down through the generations in families. Bone setting is still alive and practiced all around the world. Here it is in Afghanistan.
These practitioners offer low-cost treatment for ailments like fractures and strained muscles. They have no licenses or official training, but that doesn't deter patients like Morid Rasuli, who came in with an injured leg. On Arga's shop shows a picture of his father, a former wrestler who taught him the business.
Here's a bone setter in Korea.
Are you ready? I don't know. Oh my God. Hi, today we are going to try bone setting.
And here's a bone setter in India.
In principe geen arts, maar wel gezegend met een brede waaier aan helende kracht.
Here's a bone setter in China.
Jungle for the first time, bone setting.
Andrew Taylor Steele and D.D. Palmer, the two most famous bone setters in the United States in the late 1800s, whose legacies benefit millions, took this informal way of teaching through families and put it into a formal teaching structure in institutions and created the fields we know today as osteopathy and chiropractic. This is where practitioners or students started to study physiology, anatomy, kinesiology, histology, structure, function, pathology, dissection, and physical therapy. This also includes state educational requirements and passing a certain level of competency as set forth by governing boards and regulatory agencies. That's what separates bone setting from osteopathy and chiropractic. D.D. Palmer was a spiritualist, believed in vitalism and mysticism, and then he had his experience with Mr. Lillard and decided that he needed to open a school to teach his healing method. He named that method chiropractic. D.D. Palmer did not create chiropractic out of thin air. Both Andrew Taylor Steele and Daniel David Palmer have a lot in common. Both were bone setters. Both started educational institutions that outlived them. Both have helped millions of people around the globe through their institutional legacies. Both of them were not formally trained in medicine. Both of them had a loose relationship with reality. And both of them were magnetic healers. Dee started the line that led to receiving a DC, or a Doctor of Chiropractic degree. Andrew started the line that led to receiving a DO, or a Doctor of Osteopathy degree.
Question, how did it get this far? Like, how did this guy, who's a magnetic healer, who had no background in medicine, come up with this system and then have it spread all over the world?
It's such a good story, isn't it? People love a story that says that you can heal them without taking dangerous drugs.
What's important about this? This was created out of thin air by a guy who was a quack. The origin is not based on years and years of medical research. Correct. None of this, all of this came from the 1800s from a guy who was completely full of shit.
Yep, and he was a magnetic healer. No.
Like, there's no reason that anybody would have, like, from this guy, from this one original guy who created it, this guy who's a magnetic healer who came up with this, somehow or another it slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
But what's shocking to me is how far this medical healer or magnetic healers quack idea got.
Yep.
I just thought it was based on something.
In this article, because we really like diving deep on some of the things that we investigate, and it's like I'll admit I'm biased when I go in. There are people who are a little better at spinal manipulation than a chiropractor, which is a DO, an osteopath. So in this country we have MDs and DOs, and they both can practice medicine.
What does DO stand for?
Doctor of Osteopathy. Doctor of Osteopathy, I term. And my doctor is actually my primary care is an osteopath.
This is one example of why Miss Dientremont, and let us not forget our other critics, are not competent to speak about the ins and outs of chiropractic. Our critics have tried to imply, or stated directly, that because D.D. Palmer was a magnetic healer, that should invalidate chiropractic. If that's the case, osteopathy needs to be invalidated as well. Maybe Miss D'Entremont should have titled her article, "The Descendants of Bone Setters and Magnetic Healers Are Competent Practitioners." In fact, I trust them so much, I use one as my primary care physician.
Fortunately, yeah. I went into it. I had a lady on who was written articles about it.
And?
It was all invented
Bullshit.
by a guy who was a magnetic healer in the 1800s.